Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio inside Max 6 Workspace and the Conscious Capitalism Arizona headquarters in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I'm your host and Phoenix Business RadioX ambassador, Kendra Maples. Today, we have three lovely people that I am so excited to have in the studio today. We haven't been planning this one too long, but I have to admit I'm like a 900-pound kid internally inside. So when it comes to food, I was really excited for this one. So today we have Eileen Spitalny, the co-founder of Fairytale Brownies. She also oversees the sales and the PR. So there's a lot involved with her role. And then we have Jeff and Denise Malkoon. They are brother and sister, but co-owners of Peanut Butter Americano. And as I've been reading through, getting to know you guys, it's so cool, the alignment that both companies and all of you have together. You know, one company started from a trip to South America. One company the idea started on a playground. But then the growth, you know, all of you guys started, you know, making recipes in a small little kitchen, and now crazy growth, but missions that drive your organizations and, you know, supporting and giving back to the community. So I'm really excited to dive into all of this. So the way that I want to start today, I'm going to start with each of you. I just want to hear about your company, hear about the backstories. You know, how did it start on a playground? How did it start with a trip to South America? And then I want to hear about the story and the growth, and then we'll dive into some other stuff, but I want to start with that. So I'm going to start with Eileen. I'm going to start with you first. Oh, she wasn't prepared.
Okay. The backstory, Fairytale Brownies.
Yeah.
So, well, yes, I own the business actually with my friend David Kravitz, friends since kindergarten. And so we played on the playground together, but then after school went over to his house a lot because my mom worked, but his mom didn't, and she baked brownies. So we went over to his house to play after school and have brownies as a snack. So just fast forward, we were in school together all through high school. In high school, we did our projects together, worked well together. Hey, maybe someday we should start a business together. Went off to college, 2 different schools, but kept in touch, corporate jobs, frustrated, and then came back together in 92 and said, you know, maybe we should do our own thing. And the goal was to be like the Ben and Jerry's of brownies. So we took his mom's brownie recipe, started in a catering kitchen in 92, and now it's 2020, and we're in a 37,000 square foot building. And again, it was his mom's brownies, and we didn't even know how to bake. And now we bake and ship over 7 million brownies a year. So that's our quick story.
Oh my gosh. But you can elaborate. We have time.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to make it super quick.
I want the Malkoons to go next.
That's okay.
So, well, I mean, we just decided really, I mean, in high school, it seemed always easier to work together, which is nice. You know, we have having a partner is a great thing, I guess, in business from my perspective. And it was nice because we always complimented what we did. So when we first, you know, wrote our first business plan, you know, it was kind of good because we went through the whole cycle of what the business would be. And then we kind of divided and conquered. You know, I kind of always could see the big picture with homework, and David knew, you know, what formula to use to get the physics homework done or whatever. And so kind of same thing, you know, now when we're talking, you know, about marketing and such versus operations. So we wanted to do a business together. We said, well, you'll be in charge of supply and I'll be in charge of demand. So we started in a friend's catering kitchen in Old Town Scottsdale. And we took David's mom's brownie recipe and tested it with chocolate from all over the world. And really we started by going to all the farmers markets in town is how we started. And there was a lot of people, as there is now, like, you know, just tourists from out of town. These are so great. How do I get them? Because at the same time we were selling to coffee shops, but it was very slow growth, selling a couple of brownies a week at all these coffee shops. But people, like, say, from New York or Texas or Chicago, where they're visiting, they wanted a dozen, you know. So we kind of went into the mail order route. So it seemed smart and fantastic, but it's had its huge challenges because we are a very, very seasonal business. I think I mentioned, so let's just say 7 million brownies. Half of those get shipped the first 3 weeks of December. We make money 1 month a year. That's a really big challenge for lots of things, cash flow, employees, staffing. So in the beginning, we were naive and went for it. Well, we started in the fall and Christmas came. So we're like, okay, this brownie thing's a hit. And then it slowed down. And then the summer came and it's very hot here. And so it's just, I guess, the backstory is, I mean, it just persistence pays off because now we just embrace who we are. It's still challenging. There's still things that, keep you up at night. But I think that's just, no matter what. But what we are now is a seasonal gifting business for businesses, because businesses send us a list with, say, 500 or 1,000 addresses and we drop ship worldwide. I mean, that is what we are good at, is making a really good, consistent brownie, put it in a great box, put your brand on top and ship it for you. And that's really, what we've become today. And it's going well, but now it's very quick and easy to start a business too. So we have lots of competition. I mean, when we started, there wasn't really a lot of mail order food, and some say we were actually the first mail order food business in the country. Brownies.com is our URL because we were the first to buy it. So now it's just, you start a food business. What am I going to be? Check, the domain. Is it there? And so that's a little bit of the backstory, but we love what we do. It's, it's fun to be in the food business. It's hard work, but it's a great space to be in.
Yeah. I saw some of your staff this past week was the Good Business Summit.
Right.
And so, of course, the table that I'm helping man is literally directly across from the brownie table.
So you can sample all day.
I'm like, this is not going to end well. So needless to say, I didn't have lunch. I just ate brownies. But I got to talk with them and they were telling me how the companies can just send the list and then you guys do the rest of it and it's branded with their logo and everything and it's fantastic. But then they also did tell me about the seasonal thing. And I was like, I must be in a whole different world because I feel like all year is for brownies.
We agree. Yeah, that is our goal, is to simplify gift giving and spread joy through brownies. So we do always think about, because before this business, I was in sales myself. And so we know that people spending money with us is something they want to see a return on that investment. It's a part of their marketing dollars. So that's why we try to make it just so easy for you to, if you just need one thank you gift today or, 100 thank you gifts. And, we could take a photograph of us here in the studio and then you just go on your phone and you upload it. And then we just ship a box to our mom saying, look at me. And so we're just here to make it easy and make people happy with brownies and look good, make their business look good.
How can brownies not make people happy? Okay. And then we're going to transition to how can peanut butter not make people happy? So I love the way that you guys started with this idea on a playground. Now I'm shifting gears to the two of you. You guys started in a very unique way of an idea that came out of a trip, Jeff, that you were on. So tell us a little bit about how the brother and sister duo started this.
Absolutely. I'll try and tell the story quickly because really Denise and I are most interested in keeping Eileen talking. We want to get back to her. So the idea for Peanut Butter Americano started in Uruguay. That's where the idea came from. The company itself, actually, and it was really interesting, is Eileen was telling her origin story, like realizing just how many kind of parallels our two companies have.
Yeah.
Because Denise and I actually started our company, I think, blocks away from where David and Eileen started in North Central Phoenix in our mom's kitchen. This is after I returned from Uruguay, where the peanut was first cultivated 3,000 years ago, and saw them growing peanuts but couldn't find peanut butter anywhere, and created this mystery in my mind. I came back to Phoenix to start this company with my sister Denise, and we spent about a year in our mom's kitchen breaking her Cuisinart in North Central Phoenix and sampling out a lot of bad peanut butter ideas that our family, God bless them, endured before we narrowed our selection down to 6 flavors that we have today of chocolate and cinnamon peanut butters and a couple of almond butter options as well. And we haven't sold 7 million anything yet. Like Eileen and David are doing every year in 1 month, practically. We've also, our business model's gone a little bit of a different route into the grocery stores. We're in about 400 retail locations around the U.S. right now, and we are trying to export as well. We've sold into Canada. We are testing some products in Latin America. Peanut butter, I think, just lends to being more of a grocery item, more of a pantry item. And so we are online as well. We also have a website, but it's a little bit of a different business model.
How does that work? Because you do most of the stuff online, right? Do you guys do?
Yes.
And now I'm shifting gears back to Eileen a little bit. Do you guys have any in the stores where people can go grab it as well? Or is it primarily online? Because these are very, like you said,
yes,
Jeff, they're very different models, but both models still very successful at what they're doing.
We are in all the AJs in Phoenix and Tucson, AJ's Fine Foods, and then we're in Duck and Decanter.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, it's the mail order gifts, or you can come visit the bakery, but it's, Cotton Center, Corporate Center on 48th Street and Broadway, which is close to here, but some more brownies for you.
Don't tell me that. My family's going to be like, Kendra, why are you 900 pounds now?
But yeah, not really in the grocery store model, because we have the perishability and the peanut butter, doesn't. So that's their, big advantage, to be on the grocery shelf, but we have the perishability, so that's a challenge selling in that kind of wholesale route. And then it's a whole different science, which I don't know, right? You've got your reps and you've got your brokers, and I don't know, we just kind of, like I said, simplify gift giving. We try to keep our business simple too. We're like, let's just go down this channel, but it's a very lopsided channel, as I shared, as far as the sales revenue.
Yeah. And with Jeff, I want you to elaborate a little bit, because when you were telling me the story initially, what was it that you were talking about, the people in Uruguay, and what was it that they were eating, that they didn't have the, nice peanut butter? They were sending the peanuts over here, and we were making other peanut butter. I won't name any names, but not the best peanut butter. What was it that they were eating that they didn't even have that quality peanut butter? Or Denise?
Yeah, sure. So what's very common in South America is dulce de leche, which is like a sweeter, creamier spread.
Okay.
Very delicious, but doesn't have a lot of nutritional value. And so when Jeff came back, he was like, these kids are going to school with dulce de leche, but they're growing peanuts. He's like, I don't get it. And so the beginning of Peanut Butter Americano started with the idea that we can create delicious spreads that are also nutritionally valuable. And so that's where the flavors came in. That was one of our goals, I think, from the beginning, just because of the origin of where this idea came from, was to keep it low sugar. So that was the goal of Peanut Butter Americano.
I love that. And you've stuck to that goal. Yes. It is very healthy. I've tried it before. I told you guys when you walked in today, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that logo. Somebody gave this to me. Actually, I think it was Max 6. They gave it to me for Christmas. I was like, this is fantastic. I love that. And so both of you, all three of you, and 4, we know he's not here, but have grown these companies and have stuck with kind of that intention that it originally started with. So what is the mission that you have with Peanut Butter Americano, like that you're trying to stick with as well?
Yes. So we say that we create delicious, nutritious, and socially beneficial nut butters. And I think that those 3 kind of pillars for us will remain as we continue to grow, or at least hope to. That is our goal, is to make people happy through products that are good for you, and that also give back.
I love that. So with that being your mission, does that drive some of the decisions that you guys make? I mean, you're still growing, but you're already doing fantastic. So when it comes to maybe partnerships, corporate partnerships, figuring out what stores, does that mission that you guys have drive and change some of those decisions?
I would say so. I think that when we think about growing and we think about expanding, or we think about product development, we are always coming back to those like brand pillars, and just really trying to stay true to why we began this in the first place. And I don't know if this is true for you, Eileen, but for us, sometimes when you come at like a crossroads and you're growing or you come to a decision, you really have to like step back and reflect on the why. And so I think that Jeff and I find ourselves doing that even more now probably than at the beginning.
Do you have a specific process then when it comes to making decisions at those crossroads? Is it one or the other?
And what if you think,
that's a question we have for Eileen.
Is it one? Is it the other? Do you rock, paper, scissors between the two of you? How does this?
Exactly.
Well, if I can step in. So for some time now, Eileen mentioned Ben & Jerry's and how her and David, as they were developing their company, kind of looked at this role model company. And Ben & Jerry's is a role model for us as well. And Jerry Greenfield has actually been one of our mentors for over 5 years since we randomly met him at a jewelry show here at the Phoenician.
How does that start? You just call up the king of ice cream. Can you be my mentor? That is awesome.
It's every time we have a phone call with Jerry Greenfield, it's like the wildest thing to us. We're like, is this even real? Is this even happening? He's
so down to earth.
Such a down to earth cool guy.
So down to earth.
But at one point we asked him about this very question. He said, when there was conflict at Ben & Jerry's, how did you and Ben resolve it? And according to him, the way that they resolve conflict is that they ask themselves who feels most strongly about this particular issue, and they kind of went in the direction of whoever felt most strongly about this, particular issue. And I think that wasn't the answer we were looking for. It was kind of like it was a little emotional. It's like whoever's more emotional about it. But it makes sense, right? And it's about compromising with someone that you are working very closely with in a business with a common goal.
Yeah. I think we're both lucky now that I think about it because, you're brother and sister, so you're blood. And I've known my business partner, who's still one of my best friends, since I was 5. So we're kind of like blood. So when you say who feels most strongly, I think we're probably all fortunate that we know each other emotionally enough to read and see who maybe it is. Because some businesses start with a partnership because, hey, you have the money and I have the idea or whatever it is. And I bet for Crossroads, it's not as easy for them. But for us, sometimes we used to always have an advisory board, and that was a place where we would look to help for answers too, versus, like what you're saying, Jerry said, we also used our advisory board as a place that we didn't know at a crossroads, and usually we would present it. We wouldn't say David was thinking this and Eileen was thinking this. We would say, we're not sure about this. And we were asking experienced people in the room, and it was usually obvious to them. And so then we would just kind of like, neither of us have huge egos, but we just kind of like swallowed our ego, and whatever the best decision seemed apparent, we would accept that and move forward. And I think, it sounds like you guys are. So has that worked? What Jerry says, like whoever feels most strongly, or
whoever cries the most.
What are you like? Yeah, exactly. How do you know I don't feel stronger than what you're feeling?
I know.
That's a great question. I think I don't know about you, Denise, but sometimes it bothers me how little conflict we actually have. And it's like, are we doing something wrong? Because we're just, seem to be on the same page most of the time.
It's so true. I think that Jeff and I, for better or for worse, we have a similar ability to see multiple solutions. And so when it comes to like doing one thing or the other, I don't think that's usually how we see it. We're like, oh, well, it could be this way, or all of these other ways,
right?
Right. So it takes even longer.
Longer.
Which is good. Yeah, I know. I guess I'm sure some of our employees could say that, like, oh, being in a meeting with them. Yeah, like say where it's a more, brainstorming new products. Well, but what if we, yes.
This is where I can see the value of an advisory board, especially early on in the early stages. And this is something Denise and I have dabbled with, on and off. We have mentors, but nothing really formal. But I could see the value of it when there's indecisiveness.
Or the way we kind of did it too is think about our weakest areas. And then that's the type of people we looked at to be on our advisory board.
Okay.
Because when I was in college, I worked at the entrepreneur program where I was in school, and they had an advisory council, and I just saw how that real life help was so helpful. So we kind of took that idea, and then so in the beginning, so we had over the years we've had like a food scientist, a lawyer, a call center person, a marketing, just a contractual lawyer. So just kind of knowing the phase. But the thing is that we didn't think about, of course, you always learn, is we had this advisory board, and so we had them join, and then there was never like an end date, and then some of those experiences and knowledge we grew out of and really needed to fill that chair with somebody else. And then how do you ask somebody who's helped you so much that
we don't
go now? Yeah. So, and a lot of those people, because we grew up in Phoenix, we're friends or family friends or, but like everything, even though you're brother and sister and we were best friends, it's a business. So, and we knew that they would respect that. So we said, 6 months from now, we want to keep the group this size. So now we're going to look for knowledge in this area. Okay. And then, and so thank you for helping us bring us up to this level. We kind of as gracefully as we could, but we try to always, make it as a business decision, not to get too emotional, because then you do feel bad. Because,
especially when there's brownies involved.
We could always get them some more brownies. And I, for us, right, when we were starting to, like, we couldn't pay these people, so we paid them in brownies.
Nice.
Can
I be on both of your boards then? If I get brownies and peanut butter, I'll be totally fine.
Smush them together and be happy.
So when you started your advisory board, how many people do you have on your board usually?
Well, in the beginning, we just had one because it was a family friend, and he was in manufacturing, which we didn't even realize we were manufacturing. We just, wanted to make brownies and have fun and be happy, but it's manufacturing. So he was kind of just a one-on-one. And then, so he helped us realize processes were the key. Even you're small right now, but start working on your processes now as you grow, and then, it'll just be a smoother outcome. So that was kind of the big initial advice from Allen Bank of Tupelo, Mississippi. And but our initial board was maybe 3 or 4 people, 6 at the biggest, and currently right now we do not have an advisory board. I have kind of a personal mentor check in with, and then I have a forum group. So myself and some other business people that are not in my business space. So we just can kind of help each other confidentially and help each other with our like peer-to-peer experience sharing.
Yeah. If you were recommending like certain areas to have those particular roles on a board for these two, if that's what they wanted to start, what are some of the areas that you've seen people fill on that board? That you mentioned marketing and things like that. What were some of the key areas that you think are really important to have on your board?
Well, food safety. I don't know there's food safety and food defense because, things keep changing legally and labeling. It can be overwhelming, and it can be very costly too as a small business. And then just their business model, which, having Jerry Greenfield is awesome, but to know, Kroger and C-store and reps and brokers and what shows and where to put your money and time. And do I need, that's probably just of listening and observing in where I would, those would probably be the two. And just, legally, just to have all your ducks in a row so that if anything were to happen or if somebody was to come to you, to be always ready. I mean, it's back to so David's, he's my best friend since I was 5, but we have had written documentation about our partnerships since almost, day one, way back when it was just like a partnership and LLC, now we're an S corporation and we have a buy-sell agreement, and just all those things you do as you grow. We own each other's life insurance. So if something happened, just all those things to do so that our families are taken care of and our business and our employees are taken care of too, if anything was to happen.
I love that. I'm envisioning in my head, though, that you guys started this document and this contract when you were 6 on the playground.
Well, there was a typewriter. There was no computers then. I have to say it was typed. In Tempe, Arizona, right down the street. 704 West 11th Street. Yep. It was typed. Wow. I typed in our living room.
I love it. I want to ask you a question. And Eileen, I think you had mentioned it a little bit in the beginning with, in the very beginning of your business, you had a very particular space in being able to mail these food products that no one else was really in yet. And now there's, a handful of different companies that can mail edible fruits and things and whatnot to your house.
It's a basketful. It's not just a handful, Kendra.
Right?
It's a wall full.
It's a wall full. Yes. It's a library.
Fairytale HQ, they have a wall with all of the competing mailers.
Yes, yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah. We call it the competitor wall. So and that's just food mail order. But, our competition too is the whole floral industry. I mean, you could send flowers today. But
I can't eat the flowers.
So thank you. Yeah. So, and we try to keep on top of it, and order from all those people. And these days too, you can start really quickly and really easily, which is great because when we started, you couldn't just start at home. You had to find a kitchen. But these days, there's cottage edibles and all of that. But just digital advertising too. It could be somebody today, starting with their little thing. And if they just spend the right money on a digital ad that gets served up ahead of Fairytale Brownies, even though their business is a week old, you might buy them instead of me, even though I've been doing it 27, 28 years. So there's just a lot of competition in different ways now for us that we got to be knowledgeable of.
So why do you have the wall of all the competitors? What does that do for you guys, just to see this wall of everybody else?
Just to know what others are doing, to look at their packaging, when are they mailing, which of course we keep spending less money on mailing and putting more to digital, but catalog still spurs so many people to go to the website, or for prospecting, it still is a tool to find that niche person who buys mail order gifts. And so, and two, if you're new employee, just to understand the space you're entering, and it may seem very niche-y, which it is, but there's all these different choices all over the country, So we have Omaha steaks up there, and John and Kira's chocolates to, Vosges to, there's meat, ham, chocolates and all of that. So it's just helpful to see what others are doing. If somebody new comes to the market, we always order what they're doing, especially if it's new brownies, and, try to get on their mailing list and email. Just, it's back to know your competition.
Yeah.
You just have to know your marketplace and your competition. So
absolutely.
Try to just be on everybody's list.
So when it is so competitive like that, how do you maintain some of those business relationships that you already have, or reaching out and maybe starting new business relationships as well?
Well, David and I, a couple of years, like last year, we actually called each month our repeat buyers and personally thanked them. We split it up, and sometimes we got behind and sometimes we were right on top of it. And I really think that made a difference. We've always sent cards and gifts and to some of our buyers, but we took a really concerted effort to reach out to people that have been buying from us for many, many years. So that was great. And I think that paid back for us this holiday season. We had a great season. And then this year we've decided we're going to call, our new buyers. So I just know that Mr. and Mrs. Godiva, who there is no such thing, is not calling there, so for retention that. And then we do have, corporate salespeople. So as far as looking for new business, you mentioned last week you were at the Good Food Summit. So there you met, Gail and Elisa. I think you met Gail and Elisa. Yep. I'm not sure who you met. Yeah. So
there are a couple they switched out.
We try to be out. I mean, Phoenix is our place. So we just try to be out and about ourselves too, and be, real people wearing our brownie things. But I think connection, and I think the give back we both have as companies is something that's important to people, and they look for that. So I think that too probably retains some of our business. And then I think the mouthfeel of the product, because we know that there's some business customers they send and then they skip a year to try something, and then they'll come back and they're like, because our customers are like, where'd those brownies go? So a consistent good product really helps you keep your customers too.
I love that. Yeah. What about you guys? Because you guys have that consistent, yummy product. So how are you guys working on building those business relationships, either starting new ones or, keeping the ones that you already have?
Well, I know one way is something we were talking with Eileen about before the show. We were both at the Fancy Food show in San Francisco this past weekend. We didn't know it until
us and 100,000 other people or whatever.
Right. We probably passed by each other. But food shows are a big way that we, like to network and see what trends are emerging and what our competition is doing, who's at the shows. So that's a big way that we stay in touch on the national level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's an interesting world, the grocery and retail world, because unlike maybe direct to consumer where you can maybe call up the person that's been buying for you forever.
Yeah, like Eileen's saying, you're like, I don't know who's buying this peanut butter.
Yeah, there's kind of it's a different route. And so we work with like several people to get our products on the shelf. And so some of my favorite stories are probably the ones where customers reach out to us after buying it somewhere else and saying, oh, this is the best peanut butter. And it's just such a good feeling.
How cool.
To know that somehow, in some way, the customer has found a way to...
The process is working.
Yeah, the process is working. And so, yeah, it's definitely, for me at least, it's something I'm still learning about how to establish those really meaningful relationships with people that are not buying directly from you, and maybe even creating those relationships with distributors and the wholesalers and and grocery stores and buyers. It's an interesting world and learning a lot about it.
Well, and I think a huge part, and Eileen alluded to it, is that you guys are doing so much more than just making peanut butter or just making brownies. There's a lot of back-end community support, community involvement that all of you guys are doing, which I want to highlight on because I absolutely love it. So, Eileen, I'll probably start with you because, again, I saw your staff at the Good Business Summit and I was looking at the boxes, and in every single one of the boxes, there is a card. And that card talks about what?
I'm going to open the box right now. It talks about how Fairytale Brownies gives back to play.
Yeah.
So, we met on the playground. A lot of our people receive the brownies as a gift. So the buyer may know about the good and the give back, but we want the recipient to know as well. And so we work with a nonprofit, Kaboom, that builds play spaces for kids across the U.S. And we also wanted to find something that was national since we have customers all over. We wanted someone in New York to feel good about sending the brownies because when you're checking out, if you're on brownies.com and you make your purchase at the very end, you can give the gift of play and then we match what our customer gives. So that way they're like, hey, that money may go back to our playground in New York. So at this point in time, we've donated thousands of brownies in hours. And then with our customers and vendors, we've also donated over $350,000, which we're super proud of. We've done it through grants, even like UPS is our shipper, and we do an open house. But being a business, I guess back to why it's so important. Being a business in a community, you want your community to be healthy for you and your employees. And that's more than just a healthy business. That means the outside, the nature, the air, the play, the school. So we're like, what can we do? Because you get asked, especially in food, it's like, can you donate another case? Can you donate another, more peanut? And so it's really hard because who to say yes to and who to say no to. So we tried to hone it down and we found Kaboom and it just seemed perfect since we met on the playground. Let's make sure other kids have playgrounds and safe places so that they can have imagination and become friends. And then maybe they start businesses together because these days there's schools being built without playgrounds. There's kids playing in unsafe spaces and then unsafe things happen. And so it's just a great group. And we've been with them since 2001 and just had some really great experiences building playgrounds. And we've a couple times shut the whole bakery. So all the employees can go help build a play space.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
So kaboom.org.
Is that a national organization then?
It is. It started in Chicago. It's now headquartered out of D.C. so they can do some lobbying, and they have a few offices across the U.S. And so these days now, too, they'll just help you if you need to, say, resod a softball field in your neighborhood, or you need shade structures for your playground, or skate parks. And then now they have these new sport courts, so it costs a little bit less. Like over the holidays, we helped a school in South Phoenix, and it cost less than a whole playground, and they didn't really have the space. So on asphalt. They ask the kids, and they're like, we like to play soccer, volleyball, and basketball. So this sport court you lay down, it has the lines for those 3 different games to happen.
Cool.
So now those kids have that versus they were in a parking lot with one basketball hoop.
That is awesome. And especially, like you said, because a lot of these schools, they don't have the space, they don't have the funding. My stepdaughter, we were talking the other day, she doesn't have a playground on her side because at the age of 9, she's considered one of the big kids. And she loves playing on the playground. I mean, that's what we do every weekend. But at her school, she doesn't play on the playground anymore because they have the space for the little kids.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wait, you're 9. You're not a little kid.
Like, we need our kids to play as long as they can.
Right?
Because they're being shown so many other things they're just mature so fast. So so we put it in every box so everybody knows that we're given and play is important. And because it is brownies, like we're not as nutritious as Peanut Butter Americano. So we're trying to say, play is key and moderation is key. Right? Do not eat the whole box. Because on the other side of this little thing, it says, don't eat these all at once. You can put them in your refrigerator or freezer. Yeah.
I think we need that disclaimer as well.
Remember that, yeah.
We have a few stories also. Eating too
much
too fast.
Oh, have you guys or other people?
Other people.
Both, I bet.
Those are really the only health scares that we've had in the 7 years we've been in business. Are people who ate the product too fast, ate a pound of white chocolate peanut butter in one sitting, and
their throat is stuck together.
Yeah, they're hospitalized because they ate it so quickly.
Oh my gosh!
But we're like, it's like an odd thing because you're actually relieved that it's not a peanut or allergy or chocolate allergy, something. So.
Yeah.
It's like, that's on you. That's on you. But maybe we should have a disclaimer, like Fairytale.
I love that.
Full tablespoons at time is fine.
And then what about you guys? I mean, you guys have done so much with this, idea and this concept coming from South America all the way to here. And then tell us a little bit more about what you guys are doing in the community as well.
Absolutely. Jeff, do you want to talk about Techo?
Sure. Yeah. So unlike Fairytale, we don't tend to measure our giving in dollars yet because we're not at that level.
You'll get there. Don't worry.
But we are proud of what we've been able to do. The idea for our company started, as you know, in Uruguay, and I was working very closely at the time with a relief organization called A Roof for My Country, Un Techo para Mi País, which I compare to Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
But based primarily in 19 Latin American countries. It was founded in Santiago, Chile about 20 years ago. And they are an organization that is entirely run by people under the age of 35. And so I was inspired and amazed to see young people across Latin America taking the initiative to improve their own communities and to be an observer of this. And I said, when I get back to the States, I want to continue supporting their work as they do this. And what they do is they go into mostly rural communities across Latin America, and they construct emergency housing. And I was involved in this at the time, helping build emergency housing. And it's aimed at really getting families onto the first rung of the economic ladder in a lot of these countries. So this is a very basic house that gets them off of a dirt floor, out from under a sometimes plastic tarp roof. And then the organization Techo goes back in and they provide run social programs, job training programs, and it's aimed at economic development, and it's all run by people under the age of 35 who are getting involved in their communities, and it's a beautiful thing. So we've supported their work for the past 7 years. It's closely linked to the origins of our company. In that time, through our customers, through the sale of our products, we've been able to fund emergency housing for now over 22 families across the continent, which we're really proud of.
Wow.
And at the same time, we've, of course, being based here in the United States, expanded our mission to work with a lot of domestic organizations too, like St. Mary's Food Bank, St. Vincent de Paul, Jewish Family and Children's Services. And we've contributed enough peanut butter to make over 30,000 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches over that period of time. Last year, we ran a campaign in cooperation with a local bank, and we funded 14,000 meals through St. Mary's Food Bank, which we're really proud of. So,
Wow.
it's great to continue working with Techo, but it's also been great to expand and work with a lot of great domestic organizations and hunger relief organizations as well.
That's awesome. And say the name of that organization again.
Techo
Techo
is what they go by. Techo.
Okay.
Do you know what techo means?
I do not.
I can tell.
Ooh.
Go, Eileen.
Roof. It means
That
roof.
makes
Yep.
sense.
Yeah.
It's short for a roof for my country.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
that.
That's so great that everybody's under 35 and see, they're taking ownership. And it's kind of like Kaboom has found that too. They get the school, or if it's the softball field in your neighborhood, they get them involved. And I think when they build a playground, then they don't see tagging or anything like that because they're getting those involved. And when you're involved in it versus I think just given, you just have different pride. And I think it's a very good philosophy for nonprofits running that way. They see a lot more success, having the involvement both ways, not just a handout, I guess.
No,
absolutely. And that's what that's been our focus from the beginning. It's not just about giving, it's about how we give and doing it strategically in a way that's actually benefiting people and not just dropping, peanut butter. People, we get asked, have you ever thought about a 1-for-1 model or something? First of all, it doesn't work as well in the food industry because the margins are a lot thinner than like shoes.
Yeah.
But also it's not the most like strategically the best way, I think, to actually help people. So we try and be a little more in tune with the organizations that are on the ground, working in these communities and ask them what they need. And that's the way we've gone about it.
Well, I love that. And like you said, you're helping them with these houses and then they can continue on, they can grow. Not just that here's some peanut butter, but what's the bigger problem that you can strategically support, which is fantastic that both companies, I should say, have figured out, okay, what's our mission? What do we align with? How did both of these, ways of you supporting the community link back to how you started, on a playground in another country. And so being able to give back to those areas, it boils down to just doing good business. You have this business, but you have that, you kind of have that responsibility to figure out, well, what else are we going to do to be able to give back? And I love all of these organizations that you guys have found aligns and everything. I just think that's fantastic. I love it. I have a question. I want to know, I always love hearing more about, like, we've talked a little bit about stories and a little bit about how it got started. Denise, you alluded to it because you said you loved something about the stories. And I want to know from the three of you, like, what's through this whole process, a story, an interaction? Denise, you mentioned you love that those people reached out to you and said, oh my gosh, we love your peanut butter that we got from these other people. But I want to know, like, what's another example of just a really impactful story, incident that you kind of cherish through this whole process?
Go ahead. Oh,
They're all
okay.
They're all. You guys can keep looking at each other. I'll just eat my brownie and my peanut butter now.
Well, one I cherish is because it's always first to my head because actually I lost my mom a couple of years ago. So, but when we first started, just cherished memory. I'm just so grateful for my friends and family that helped us start. So, but a memory is the moms helping. So, my business partner I've known since I was 5 years old, and my husband, who was our first baker, I've known since 7th grade. So, it's just it's a little family. So when we first started on 68th Street in Thomas, Jackie, Mike's mom, Nancy, David's mom, and Sharon, my mom, would come in to help because they're like, oh, good God, what are these kids doing? They have their college educations. Now they're making brownies. What's going on? How can we help them? So they came in and they would wrap the brownies, and we had our little like Smart and Final cello things, and they'd put the brownie in and they would sit at the table, and they called themselves the Rap Group, WRAP. And they just thought it was so cool. But it was like the cutest thing because we were so grateful for that free help and them wrapping the brownies. And then we got our first wrapper, and then it was kind of cute. They each had their separate little things that they were helpful out. But that's definitely a cherished memory, and just a super proud memory or super proud moment is just one of our employees, Kim Silva, who really, if she's listening, runs the show. She started as a senior, at ASU, and now this year, so in February, she will celebrate, I guess, 26 years working at Fairytale Brownies.
Oh my
so
gosh.
she helped on Fridays after class at Borgata Farmers Markets, and now is running the show. So that's just, I guess, a cherished thing, is just to create a business for a bunch of us to be together and be happy and grow and stay healthy and pay the rent. And
And you started with the family, but then have created
and
now.
the Fairytale family. Yes.
Family.
Yes.
I love that.
I get some extra I
What a fairy tale.
I don't have any sound effects that go. What about you guys? What's a memory or a cherished moment or something that you're like, oh my gosh, we got to keep going. This is awesome.
I feel like there's some days where I'll sit at my desk and I'm working, and there's a moment where I stop and think, I'm working with my brother. We're running a peanut butter company. Is this real?
Is this real?
And so there's moments like that, I think, that sprinkle in and out through running all of the other things. But I really feel like just cherishing that space in this moment is something so special. And to create a product, I mean, like I said, to create a product where I feel good when people consume it, and I know that it's healthy and it's making them happy, that's just like a golden feeling.
I love it. Jeff, what about you?
I feel the same as what Denise described and as what Eileen described. It's starting a business is, to me, such a privilege. And it's only possible with the support of the community. And I think, in both of our cases, our families have played a big role in allowing us to do what we do in the early stages. I think without Mom's Kitchen and without Mom's Cuisinart and without the support of our parents and our brother and sister and extended family, it's hard to imagine that we'd be in the same place that we are today, because you just do rely heavily on, the rap group early on, and as Eileen described it. And so it's a privilege and just grateful for the community.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So we're going to start to wind down a little bit. I told you it would go so right? I told you this is going to be an hour. I said, trust me, it's going to go so fast. We're just going to chat about food.
We have more questions for Eileen.
This is my happy moment. So that's what I want to make sure. So what other questions or how is there anything else you guys want to pick from each other's brains before we start to wind down a little bit? Jeff, you have more.
Me.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Eileen, you've got the online business model, but you've also expressed that, how the industry has changed and evolved over time. You were one of the first with the website, brownies.com. It's an amazing story. Now there are kind of extensions that with a similar, where your business model might apply, but new markets, I guess, that have emerged online, like an Amazon.com or a Jet.com or some of these groups. Is that something that you consider, since it appears to me, at least to an outsider, to be somewhat of an extension of the business model that you already have?
So we are on Amazon. So we do sell to Amazon because you just have. We feel like you have to, and I feel like you all could too if you don't already be in the grocery area versus we're in the gift, and we have a little storefront you can make and so it's great to have that business to meet new people, and then it also has its challenges because Amazon is such a big company. Then they are competing with keywords, and all of a sudden we're competing with them, and we can't compete with them. So it's like a game we have to jump in, but a game we can't totally play, I guess, tete-a-tete with them because we don't have the funds. So, but we're trying to look around, and now, and everything happens so fast, now on Instagram, they're sponsored, and on Facebook. So, we're trying to be there because we want to find new buyers, and we have our current buyers and retain our buyers. So, does that answer your question? I mean, we are on other. So third, we do call that our wholesale. It's kind of different than your wholesale, but we kind of, when we're on somebody else's site, and then we do the fulfillment still from our place, so the order comes electronically and we ship for them. That is like an area opportunity we try to go for. Obviously, the margin's a little less, but we have to keep the volume going, because I said we're very seasonal. So anything we can do to help off season, I mean, Valentine's Day is coming, but it's just a blip. It's not a bang. So anything we can help, we're always, thinking about that.
One of the questions that I have is, with websites like Amazon that really require their own expertise to understand and to be efficient at selling products on, we have had the question of, do we hire contractors? Do we, is it someone from our team that learns how to sell on these other platforms? How have you answered that question, Eileen?
Well, we should set up a time and you should come over to Fairytale and talk to us, a couple of people, and let us see if we can see how much we can help you for no charge. Yeah. It is a learning thing. We have used a contractor and then again, glean what we can and go for it on our own. We usually try to do as much as everything by ourselves. We, like you all, we bake the brownies ourselves. We design our packaging. We ship it. We have our call center. And it's a very more intense hands-on thing to do, but quality and consistency is the key. So with Amazon, we did get some insight and had a consultant and then just kind of took it on our own. We are still always learning because they have so many little rules. And if you break one little thing, it can drop, So we've also had some nightmares because of it, but learned and just continue to do our best because it's very hard to communicate with them. So we can definitely share some insight with you and probably give you some people to work with to start with and then go for it on your own.
I love that. Do you guys have?
But it's just funny little things like we just realized our number one seller on Amazon is their Magic Morsel 24. So David was saying I saw the sales drop down and it's because you give Amazon an inventory number, and so I think maybe we had given them 1,000 as an inventory number because we're we'll never reach that. Well, I guess this December we finally did reach 1,000 and we didn't think about it. It's one of those things. So he's I changed it. Now it's 10,000 is the inventory number because, so it got turned off. And so our other SKUs were available, but that one had said sold out. Well, we weren't sold out of that. We're ready to ship more for sure. So it's just that little thing, And then there's shipping times and there's just all their little things to control.
Takes an education, yeah.
Yeah. So
my favorite space that you're selling at is the Duck and Decanter that you mentioned.
Yes.
We sell there too, and
Best
that's my
sandwiches.
favorite market.
Mm-hmm, me too. Best sandwiches.
We both sell it, and best sandwiches.
It's such a cool little spot. Ooh, do they make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with your peanut butter?
Yes, they do. Actually, National Peanut Butter Day was just a couple days ago, and the PBJ was the sandwich of the day.
Oh, was it?
And we did a whole deal with them. So,
oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, we love the Duck.
We should do something because it play peanut butter and jelly and then a brownie. It's the perfect lunch.
That's my final question for you guys of the day. Don't worry. I did some recon. I found out that you guys don't have a peanut butter brownie anymore.
Yes.
So I'm not going to push anything,
story.
but I want you to see this beautiful relationship right now.
I knew this.
And I know your staff is ready because when I did my recon, they said, yeah, we don't have a peanut butter brownie. I said, I'm going to help.
Yeah. There's nothing better than chocolate and peanut butter. We had supply issues, and so it kind of left our family of flavors at the moment.
But that's okay. That moment is past.
But
it's a beautiful thing.
Many more moments to come.
Yeah, yes. There's always future, and then
we're working on getting to that level.
Yeah.
I think, Kendra.
I'll follow up.
We get that question with Ben and Jerry's. Say, oh, Jerry Greenfield's a mentor of yours. Are they going to use your peanut butter in their ice cream? I don't think you understand what level we're at and what level they're at. I think it's a similar deal with Fairytale.
It's such a small family. So because David, so we both had corporate jobs. I alluded to. I worked for Univision, the Spanish television network, and he was at Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati. And one of his best friends was Pete Gosselin, who then left there to be an engineer at Ben & Jerry's. So when we were growing, we took a tour at Ben & Jerry's, and it's such an amazing place. I mean, it's kind of a different company now, but what a small world that we all love. Those guys are amazing. Yeah,
that's so fun.
Created for us.
I have one question.
Go for it.
Eileen, if you were to give yourself advice if you were to look down at somebody maybe 20 years, or you give yourself advice 20 years ago, entering into the food manufacturing business, being an entrepreneur, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, it takes more money than you think to start, because we just started by not paying ourselves, but we were like young and didn't have kids, so it didn't matter. I mean, I guess that was definitely a challenge because we didn't realize it was a manufacturing company. So, hey, maybe think about how you can get some more funds. I don't know. I mean, we always ask for help, which is usually, I always tell people, just keep asking for help. But maybe, maybe when you're smaller, to try some more things then before it's bigger, because then when it's bigger, you do get into your process set mode, and it's harder to just kind of parlay something in, see if it works, and take it away. But another thing too is, I think maybe one thing I think is like, maybe things too we tried and it didn't work. Maybe it's time to try it again too. Sometimes it's timing. The market changes. So I think that's good to remember, like, oh, well, but we tried that. And so you discount doing it. And it's like, but maybe now it's different, because we've talked about that with a couple of ideas. Like, yeah, not then, but now might be the time. So, yeah.
I like that. That was a good question.
Yeah. I know, that's a tough one.
It was actually one of my last questions I had. So now I don't have to ask it.
You're welcome.
Good job. Well, before we finally wrap up, I want to give each of you the opportunity to give any last minute, anything else you want to say. If there's an ask you have for the audience, if there is a reach that you are hoping to, bring into your company, whatever it is, whatever last minute things you wanted to kind of get out there, I want to give each of you the opportunity. So Denise, I'll start with you.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
First of all. And ask for the audience.
For anything. If there's a partner you want to reach out to, if you want to make peanut butter brownies with a company, anything you want the listeners to know, just any last minute.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would ask the audience what they're most craving to see next in the food world.
Okay.
And I think that's obviously important to know for us, but also it allows us to see how we can develop and grow and better serve the people that already love the products.
I love that. Yeah. Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, please tell us what you're looking for.
Okay.
Tell us what you're looking for. We're looking right now for the next product to add to our brand and expand the menu of options that we offer. So please email us at happiness@pbamericano.com.
I love it.
And tell us what you're looking for.
Are there any other ways that folks can reach the two of you?
Absolutely, yes. We have a Facebook page, Americano, Instagram, Be Americano.
Yeah, and look for that local tab. If you're in Arizona, it's Sprouts, AJ's, some Kroger locations, and find us online.
Awesome.
Buy more peanut butter.
Yay. Eileen, what about you?
My ask is, I guess, to think about how you can help in your community if you're not right now. I think asking you all about what new products or new flavors, same thing for us at Fairytale. So just, I guess, email us. You can email me, Eileen, EILEEN @brownies.com. But what I would love is everybody listening, and Jeff and Denise too, we have an open house every fall in October, and come to our open house. That's when we save up rejects and brownies that aren't pretty, and we raise a bunch of money for Kaboom, for the playground. So it's just a fun time to come to Fairytale Brownies, because the kitchen is open and on display and new products. And so I'd say, come to our open house and just spread joy with peanut butter and chocolate, and be kind.
I love that. Kind. And when is that open
And we're
house?
on Instagram and all that too, right? I better say that. I'll be interrupted.
Oh, yeah. So Instagram, what else?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah.
I love it. And when did you say the open house is? Or how can people find out about that?
Well, it'll be on our website. I mean, you can join our email list, and then we'll email you. But it's usually always in October, because that's our anniversary month. So it's usually in October in the afternoon. And again, if you email me then and say you want to be on the VIP tour list, too, we do these little before the open house starts tours.
Ooh.
So today, if you're, for those listening, then you can come to that and you get a little goodie bag at the end of that tour.
It's worth it. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's fun. It smells so good.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to eat this whole
So
box
good.
of brownies, this whole thing of peanut butter.
What's your birthday?
I know.
Yeah,
Happy
I got
birthday,
so many
Kendra.
goodies.
Yeah,
Yay. So
thank you
many
for
goodies
having
for
us.
my birthday. And I'm so excited that you guys were here today. For me, this was the perfect birthday treat. No pun intended. To have you guys here. I had a blast. You guys are doing so great with your companies, but also with how you're giving back to the community. And, Eileen, that was the last thing you just said. You said, be kind. You're doing good business. You're giving back. Have some treats. Be kind to people. It's not that hard, but sometimes we have to remind people to do that. So thank you for all three of you for being here today. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from within the Max 6 and Conscious Capitalism, Arizona Business RadioX studio. Some media leans left, some lean right. We lean business. And today we lean towards some brownies and some peanut butter. So until next time, this is Kendra. Thank you for listening.